Hello and welcome to Nickel Press TV. This is Roto RX, your fantasy prescription, and we are talking baseball today. This is episode 13. I'm Andy Singleton, People's Pen on Twitter. My shadow boxing friend over there is Tehol Beddict, the Lord. You can find his work on Razzball and on Twitter, as I mentioned, at Lord Beddict. Sir, how are you?
Wonderful. Just trying to get over the Benadryl.
Okay. You seem very soccer influenced this week, or perhaps tennis, Andy Murray-ish. Is any theme to this week?
Shout out Jim Courier. Shout out Michael Chang. Shout out Pete Sampras. No, I never did like Pete Sampras. I take that back. Berg, he was tight. Yeah. I like some of those guys from back in the day. I don't really follow tennis that much anymore unless it's like, Serena Williams, because I'm just trying to get a peek at that meaty backside.
All right. Well, at the compound that you reside in, is there a tennis court on site?
No, there is not. Unfortunately, that's my goal. Is my next home. I definitely need a tennis court so that I may invite over all the neighbors to embarrass them on my home court, because there's no way that I can be defeated in tennis by anybody.
Well, as I mentioned, this is Nickel Press TV. This is Roto RX. This is a one-shot take, so what you see is what you get. We try to go through and cover as many fantasy baseball relevant topics and players as we can. We patch in our friend, my buddy over here, his imaginary stepfather, Dr. Selene Parekh, a Duke University orthopedic surgeon. I don't know any other show that can make that claim.
And the lacrosse team.
Yes. I don't know if that's good or bad, but we're going to get into all that in a second. I just want to ask my partner, though, if you were listening last week, you know his sister was just wed over the past weekend. So I'd like to know how that went. And was there anything People Magazine worthy that you would like to
Let me tell you something, man. So I did this speech, and like the people that haven't seen, none of my family, I don't think they've seen any of these shows. I don't think they read any of my stuff. They don't know how gifted that maybe I am. You know what I'm saying? And so I gave this speech, and I was just clowning, just like we do here. And people were like, "Oh my God, where did that come from?" It's like, we don't even know you. And I'm like, yeah, you don't know me. Because they were like, I've never been so congratulated in I don't say that to be kind of weird, but I've never been so many people were so pleased with the speech. So it went really well. I spent most of my night more people were congratulating me than the people that got married. You know what I'm saying?
Was this written or freestyled? And is there a transcript anywhere?
A little bit of both. I think there was a videographer. I'm going to get that to the fans as soon as I get it. You know what I'm saying? All
right. Well, hopefully we can get to see that. I heard there were unicorns and helicopters, and Knight Rider kit showed up. I heard there were all kinds of things happening and going on. Anyway, we're going to jump into this because people are probably tuning in and hopefully tuning in to hear some fantasy baseball news. I want to thank, as always, Fantasy Assembly. I want to thank the Reddit readers. I want to thank Razzball. I want to thank today's Knuckleball and Greg Jewett, who dropped a little Ryan Ruin knowledge with us last week. I also want to give a quick nod to such wonderful sites as Fangraphs and Baseball America and Baseball Reference for providing these resources for us to all utilize. And that's we basically go through a lot of this kind of stuff. So anyway, there's a ton of players to discuss today, several coming back from DL stints, a bunch of younger guys that I think you guys should start paying attention to. Of course, the doctor reports. We're going to talk about Matt Duffy, Mallex Smith, and Steve Pearce. And then there are several guys, as always, suffering hamstring injuries. We're not even going to ask the doctor about those anymore. You should know what those are at this point. It just seems like every day there's somebody else with one. But jumping into some news and notes, Gerrit Cole is throwing, which could only be a good sign. Steven Strasburg apparently needs a spotter when lifting weights, as his much-anticipated start head-to-head against Clayton Kershaw was scratched. Zack Wheeler, unfortunately, had a setback in his rehab. Jose Bautista is in a walking boot. Omar Infante got his walking papers from the Royals, which basically means Whit Merrifield is pretty safe right now. And Jose Reyes is about to clear waivers and possibly even land back with the Mets. So of all the little quick news and notes that I just rambled off, any of those jump out at you as earth-shattering or relevant to your life?
No, the Wheeler one kind of upsetting to me. That's a little bit of a letdown. I've always been kind of a Wheeler fan, and I was like, oh, if he comes back healthy and comes back to this Mets rotation, this is going to be insane. I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't know how bad this discomfort is, but hopefully they get him going. It doesn't look like this year he's going to make much of an impact, but then again, you never know. The Reyes thing is very interesting to me. I think the Mets should sign him, but it doesn't seem like they are from what I've heard. It seems like that's a no-go. I'd like to see him sign with the Royals and play second base. It was an interesting rumor. I would do that in a heartbeat if I were them.
Yeah, the problem with the Mets is, one, the public backlash, they may or may not take. But the other thing is, apparently he really just cannot play third base. And you have Asdrubal Cabrera, who's really, really, really just been phenomenal defensively and offensively for the Mets. And then you got Neil Walker at second. And I don't know that they want to move him to third. So he's really like out of options with the Mets. In addition to, as I mentioned, like the public, backlash that, people think would happen. Tim Lincecum, the freak, we know he just made his first start of the season. He faced 24 batters over 6 innings, only gave up 1 run on 4 hits, walked 2, struck out 2. His fastball, he did touch 90, but he's really more about 88.
90?
Yeah, he's freaked out to 90. Bottom line is, this guy is crafty. He won, 2 Cy Youngs? He's going to figure out a way to get it done. I don't think –
Hold up. This guy, the Lincecum, I mean, the report from the doctor last week was insane. We were both on board. We're both feeling it. I like it. But, I don't understand how they're supposed to come back miracle-wise. I mean, this guy was god-awful for how many years has it been? 4, 5 years? When was the last time he was good? This guy's terrible, man. I can't 2 Ks, 88 miles an hour. I'm not buying. This is Gerrit Weaver Jr. Still.
Well, I'm gonna answer that for you. And do you want me to reference Shakira, or do you want me to reference Happy Gilmore?
I love Shakira. She's my favorite musical artist. The hips don't lie. But what was the other option?
Happy Gilmore. It's all in the hips.
Classic. I can't choose between the two, but you make the choice, please.
Well, that's Lincecum. It's all in the hips. The hips don't lie. I think he's good to go. He's crafty. He's not going to be the guy you were used to. He's not going to be the high K guy anymore.
Why was he crafty his last few years in San Francisco? Why was he just crappy, not crafty?
Because of the hips. He needed a replacement there, buddy.
Okay.
We went over this. All right. Yulieski Gourriel. He's like the Ichiro of Cuba. This guy's got 1,500 hits over 15 years. He's now 32. Second baseman, third baseman, free agent, not subject to any international penalties because of his age and his service time and everything like that. Mets, again, showing some interest, but this guy should be drawing interest from a lot of teams. Are you familiar with him at all?
Oh, yes. I'm familiar with all of the Cuban stars, all the international stars. These are the guys you got to get. If I'm the Mets, you have to sign this. You have to get this done, man. I mean, I haven't seen this kind of desperation since, what was it, Dave Coulier in the back with this Hollywood exec offering him a BJ in exchange for just he's just trying to be an extra. I mean, this guy can't even get a speaking role, and he's that desperate, man. I mean, he's doing the, is it made of wood? The woodchuck thing, dude, my favorite thing. He was doing that line, offering this guy fellatio. It was insane. That's how desperate the Mets should be to sign this guy. This guy is the real deal. And I think they can win the World Series. This could be the difference between them winning a World Series or not, adding a legit bat like this to their lineup. I really believe that because I think they are lacking that right now.
Yeah, at the rate they're going, they might not even make the postseason. Their offense has been anemic. But another team, one that they faced last year in the NLCS, the Cubs have replaced their fallen catcher, Schwarber, with their other rising catcher, Wilson Contreras. There's a lot of speculation. Obviously, this is a guy that while he's playing, you should be adding. He's an offensive-minded guy. He converted to catcher in 2011. There's a misconception about him that he strikes out a lot. I don't think he does. It seems like the initial plan is to go the Schwarber route, introduce him to the pros, send him back down, and then call him back up for a postseason run. Do you really think he's ready to handle a staff full-time, especially one that has Super Bowl dreams and fancies himself a contender? Or do you think there's too much hype being made of this guy?
I don't think it doesn't seem like there's too much hype. He seems to be responding well, even though that home run he hit was off like an 82-mile-an-hour Tim Lincecum / Jeff Weaver style pitch right down the gut. He'll probably never see a pitch that easy again the rest of his life. That is until he faces Tim Lincecum in person or Weaver in person. But until that day comes, that's going to be the easiest one he hits. I'm feeling him though, and if I could go back and grabbed him, I would have, just to kind of see what happens. We saw what happened with Schwarber last year when he just went insane on that stretch. These are the guys you got to get. Maybe he does it, maybe not. It doesn't seem like they're going to give him the opportunity. But if he's raking, he shall receive it, and he shall move forward with that job.
All right. Well, I can't argue with that. It just, for me personally, puts a bigger premium on guys like Sal Perez and Yadier Molina, who are going to be there every day because defensively they can handle it, and they can handle the bat. And then you don't have to worry about these catcher issues. You just plug in your catcher, and that's it. Set it and forget it. But nonetheless, Contreras, take a shot on him while he's here. But don't be surprised if he does indeed get sent back down. Let's call in Dr. Parekh and ask him about Matt Duffy, who is going through some Achilles woes. And the reason I want to start with Matt Duffy is because he's actually fallen well short of expectations this year. He, provided some power and some pop for the Giants. A lot of people liked him as a corner infielder, first base, third base eligibility. Falling short of that, and now he's out.
Parekh's out in the woods today. A little camping. Glamping.
Giants' Matt Duffy injured his Achilles tendon earlier this week. This is the same Achilles tendon that he injured last week. Now, initial reports were that he'd just be out for a day or two and it wasn't a big deal, but an MRI revealed that he has a strain in the Achilles tendon. Now, if you look at our Achilles tendon, it goes from the back of your knee all the way down to your heel bone, and just about 4 finger breadths above where it attaches on your heel bone is known as the watershed area. It's an area that all of us have poor blood supply, and it's susceptible to injury for all of us. And this is where most of the Achilles tendon tears occur. Now, he has a strain, and that is a little bit concerning. The timeline is not a day or two. In fact, it's more like 2 to 4 weeks and even up to 6 or 8 weeks, depending on how bad the strain is. His strength is going to be concerning as he gets back. His push-off power will be also a concern as well. So don't look for the Giants to really get him back on the field until he's about 80% or better in strength and in push-off power. Again, the timeline for me is 2 to 4 weeks at the soonest, 6 to 8 weeks at the longest.
Wow. That is alarming, considering he said it will affect his power, and his power has already been affected to this point in the season. So I don't know if I'm holding out much hope for Matt Duffy going forward. I don't know if he was somebody that was really high on your radar or not, but I would say move on.
Is he related to Danny Duffy?
He might be. I honestly could not tell you that, but we can research that. We can have our crack research staff look that up. I want to move into some baby boomers because there's a lot. This is the time of year. Guys start making some moves, lower levels. So Brady Aiken, for instance, #1 overall pick a couple years ago, and sat out with trouble. He finally made his major league debut. 2 innings, 0 hits, 3 Ks, 1 walk. This guy is electric. If you've ever seen him throw, to no batters or whatever, it just looks like the ball leaves his hand. It's in the catcher's glove already, and it looks effortless. So this guy is going to be a stud at some point. Arizmendi Alcantara was just traded finally. I think the Cubs have been holding off to him for a while, but he's in Oakland now. Probably likely to get some time there. He's kind of taken a dip in his production, but the guy still has a lot of pop in his bat, can put them out of the park, and still a stolen base threat. So if you're looking for steals, he's somebody you might want to keep an eye on. Zach Lee, I want to mention this guy because he was traded to your hometown Mariners. And I don't think there's anything you should really be excited about. The guy has really not lived up to anything. The K's are weak. I don't think there's much to see here. But I will tell you a guy in your AL West that you should be monitoring, and that is Daniel Mengden on the A's. This guy, he's made the jump from AA to AAA and now to the majors all this season. Pretty much everyone in the A's rotation has been on the DL. And that's the only really fear, that's really only the fear I have for him is that there's somewhat of a curse of bad luck. Other than that, though, I mean, Henderson Alvarez was just shut down for a longer period of time. He's got a spot in the rotation. Nobody's taking that from him. He's been really good. He's just not getting any run support. He's giving you a K per inning with a 2.25 ERA. So you scared about Mengden being in your division? Have you seen this guy pitch yet?
Not at all. No, I'm not scared of anybody in the division, let alone I don't even know who it is. I've never heard of this guy. I'm kidding. Obviously, I've heard of him, but no, I'm not really concerned. Oakland's dead in the water. This guy will be lucky to get more than a couple wins just because the A's can't win a game because they're so pathetic. I'm all about these young hogs though. So go ahead and go pick him up and just kind of see what happens if he fails. Chop wood. Move on to the next.
Well, I got a bigger, guy on this baby boomer list that I wanted to talk to you about, and that is AJ Reed versus Josh Bell. Both the 23, both the first baseman, one for the Pirates, one for the Astros. AJ Reed is the guy you hear all about because he basically had this ridiculous power surge last year. Everybody's been waiting. They thought he'd get to start right out of spring training. Hasn't happened yet. He's currently batting .262 with 10 homers and 35 runs batted in. Meanwhile, Josh Bell, who only has John Jaso in his way and his dreads, is batting .316 with 11 homers and 44 runs batted in. Another difference I'd like to point out, Reed is striking out once every 3.8 at-bats, whereas Bell is only striking out one every 5.16 at-bats. So do you have a take on either of these two, and would you prefer one over the other, and are you afraid of John Jaso's dreads?
John Jaso's disgusting. I don't. The hair is just too much. He's on the Pirate. I mean, he needs to get one of those dangly Johnny Depp earrings or something from Pirates of the Caribbean, dude. This is out of control. I can't take much more. But I do like his heart, and he's become a nice walking. He's become very talented at getting walks. So I've got to respect him. But, yeah, we got to get Josh Bell up. The Pirates need a serious shot in the arm here. It's just going all bad for them right now. I don't like what I'm seeing. Bell's on fire in the minors. Bring him up right now. As far as Reed's concerned, I really like him too. They probably need they might need a boost with their team going forward, as first base isn't really a real strong point for them. So I consider bringing him up. He hasn't been quite as good with the average as you'd like to see to bring him up right away. So maybe they let it go for a little bit longer, see if he stays hot or can get hot. But I would bring up Bell immediately.
Okay. It's really scary to see some of these top teams in the majors right now with this incredible depth in the minors. You got a team like Pittsburgh that has Cole shelved right now, but they got Tylon they could bring up. They also have Glasnow they still haven't brought up. They got Bell waiting in the wings at first. They have Alan Hansen, who's been a top shortstop prospect there. They have Kevin Newman at the lower levels that they drafted a high guy out of college at shortstop. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Some of these teams in occupying the top spots and how much depth they have. But let's bring in the doctor again to talk about Mallex Smith, who took a pitch on his hand and broke his thumb, and it looks a lot worse than maybe you would expect it to. And this is kind of significant because we talked about Smith on this show. He's giving you surprising power, but the stolen bases started to finally come around.
Braves' Mallex Smith was hit by a pitch against the Mets on Monday, and he broke his thumb. Now, there's lots of different breaks of the thumb. It's hard to know just from hearing break in the thumb whether he needs surgery or not. But regardless, he's going to be out 8 to 10 weeks. He'll probably get extra imaging done, like a CAT scan or an MRI, to evaluate the nature of the break. Now, if the break itself is in multiple pieces or involves attachments to the ligaments or even involves the joint itself, he will need surgery. In either case, the timeline is 8 to 10 weeks for him to come back. Now, when he comes back, we may notice that his swing's a little bit slow, that his power's a little bit off because his grip strength's going to be a little bit tough, a little bit affected. But towards the end of the season, this should not be an issue. So my timeline, 8 to 10 weeks for him to be back on the field, a little bit longer for his performance to kind of be back to normal.
All right. Well, if you had him in your lineup, that's going to, be a blow because you're not going to have him for a while. And that might put a wrap to his season fantasy-wise because that's going to be, somewhere along the playoff time in fantasy. Let's move on to a segment that some people have begun to like and appreciate. Some people are rather confused by, and that, of course, is chase or replace.
I don't chase them, I replace them. I don't chase them, I duck them, I replace them with another one.
So I said some people are probably confused by this. I kind of botched the rules of this last week. So let me re-explain. It's really a simple concept. So think about it. If you own the guy I mentioned, are you chasing? I'm sorry. Here we go. I'm screwing it up again. If you do not own the guy I mentioned, is he somebody you're targeting and trying to obtain? In other words, chasing him. And if you do own the guy, is he somebody that you think is going to now tail off and you're trying to replace and cash out while he's at this peak? So, understood? Okay. Adam Lynn. Chasing or replacing? He's got 4 homers in the last 2 weeks. The average still is down, but he's showing some power. He's shown in the past he could be a productive first baseman. He finishes half strong. I noticed June and September are historically his best months. So not surprising to me that he's having a great June right now. But are you chasing or replacing?
I might need you to go through the rules one more time again there, buddy. But I'm thinking that I need to – oh, man, I'm replacing him. If I can get anything for this guy, I'm replacing him.
All right. In other words, is it somebody you want on your roster or somebody you don't want on your roster?
I mean, it just depends. This is a tough one. It just depends on how desperate you really are. Like, is he going to be hit pretty well here in the short term? Yes. Do I think he's going to have a great season?
Well, as I mentioned, if you look up Lynn historically, his best months are June and September. So
can I get a rule printout of the chase and replace
yes.
so I can go over it tonight and post it next to my mirror so I can read it every morning when I'm shaving and gelling my hair and those sorts of things?
Yeah, when we first started this segment, I think we had it and it was pretty self-explanatory. And I think as we've gone on and tried to simplify it, we've made it even more complicated, or at least I have.
Definition of chase and replace.
All right. Well, maybe this guy will provide a better example of it then. Addison Russell. He's now batting 170 in June. We couldn't have been this wrong on this guy. Could we have been? I mean, he's got to be better than this, right? He's got to be. So this is a guy that he might be on your waiver list. He might be available as a free agent. Somebody might be holding on to him, has him stashed. This is the point I'm trying to make. Is this the guy that you will go out and make a claim and chase him, hoping that he has somewhat of a surge, or try to buy low on him? Or if he's on your roster, are you trying to get rid of him? If drop him, try to trade him? What would you do with this guy? Is he somebody you want on your roster or not? Addison Russell.
No, he's not, man. He's just not getting the job done right now. I mean, he was a guy who was really high up on before the season, I know you were too. It's just kind of disappointing to see this happen. I thought he was going to have a very, very nice season, and I still think he'll kind of turn it around. So I believe in him, but it's like, why play him when he's at this point? He could probably, if he does anything going forward, you shouldn't have a problem picking him back up. So, I mean, I'm sure there's somebody out there who's just superior.
Okay. Marcell Ozuna, are you replacing him, or are you buying this season he's putting together? Over 300, the power's there, everything's there.
Oh, I'm buying. I'm holding him. I was trying to replace him. I was trying to trade him, sell high for the last month. Probably nobody wants to bite, so I just sit here and enjoy the ride as per usual. People are scared to trade with me. I'm riding Ozuna. Barry Bonds has changed his life. He's changed my life. They both have changed my life in many positive ways, other than the steroid abuse, which kind of set me back for a little while. But I love those guys. I love Ozuna.
Okay, so then here's kind of maybe a better example as well of chase or replace. Jose Abreu, he started off horribly, was tanking a lot of teams. He's now batting .348 in June, 4 homers and 17 RBIs. You own him. You've held him this long. Are you holding now, or are you trying to get out? And you're thinking he tailspins again.
I'm chasing him. No question. I've been trying to chase this. Welcome to my real life. Take a glimpse into my real life here. This is my reality. Your truth is now my reality. This is what's happening. He is my player. I will never go away from this guy. I predicted 50 bombs before the season. That's not going to happen, obviously, but I'm definitely chasing this guy. I offered all kinds of stuff for this guy. Nope. They're just scared of me. They don't want to give him up. Any other league with normal people like you viewers out here, you would have already traded him to me because I probably offered too much. Nobody wants to give him up. It's not fair, but I'm definitely chasing this guy. You should you should do it too. Everybody needs to chase Jose Abreu. The man is hot. The man's a legend. He's got as much power as anybody. It's going to get ugly.
So you think he's found his way out of the woods?
Definitely.
We're gonna see the old Abreu going forward.
For sure.
All right. Pair of Orioles, number 4 overall picks in Dylan Bundy and Kevin Gausman. Gausman's getting the starts. Bundy's getting the relief work. They're both in the majors right now. Bundy's starting to surge a little. He's looking better and better as we go. Gausman's kind of just there, lingering. Do either of them do anything for you? Are either of them somebody you would be wanting to add to your rotation?
No, I mean, did they say they're going to give Bundy a shot in the rotation? I mean, I'm nervous.
Have you heard? I haven't heard that confirmed yet, but have you?
No, I haven't heard anything about that. I mean, the guy still got a 3.9 ERA, still got like 19 Ks and 30 innings. I mean, a guy like that just has no appeal to me. Plus, he hasn't even been good in relief. This guy was a former hug. I was just asking somebody the other day, how do you go from being one of the biggest stars, prospects in the game, and then just being a bum in the majors, like a bum ass middle reliever? Like, what does that do to your ego? I mean, kudos to these guys who are that are able to overcome being superstars, and then they're just like a loser. I mean, it's like a child actor. They're killing it. They're killing it. Everything's great. Everything's great. Next thing you know, you're doing cocaine in the bathroom with Todd Bridges. Your life's in shambles. You can't get a job to save your life. I mean, I feel like that's kind of what's happening here, and kudos to him for hanging on by a thread.
Did you just label Dylan Bundy and Kevin Gausman the equivalent of Corey Haim and Corey Feldman? Is that what just happened?
Gausman at least has been a starter. He hasn't at least gotten hurt. I mean, don't even make me bring up who was that other loser they had that was the top Matz? Probably Mattis. Yeah, don't get me started on that. But yeah, it's just really unfortunate, man. The Orioles just haven't had good luck with pitching. I think they did have a guy pretty good, Arrieta, at one point. I don't know what happened to him. He's gone. And yeah, these other high drafted guys just aren't getting the job done.
All right. Well, it is unfortunate. Let's bring in the doctor for our final report on another bit of unfortunate news regarding a former Oriole, current Ray, Steve Pearce. I say unfortunate because the guy has literally been carrying some teams with his play of late. He gives you eligibility pretty much everywhere, and he's out now, officially out. and could be for a while.
Out on bail. Out in the woods.
Hey guys, we're talking to Steve Pearce today. He strained his hamstring Monday night in the 9th inning when he felt a tight grab in his hamstring. The great news is he didn't feel a pop. When you feel a pop in the hamstring, you think that there's a muscle or a tendon that might be torn in and of itself. But feeling a strain or a grab is not as severe. So the timeline for the hamstring injury is really about 4 to 6 weeks, depending on the grade. Now, if the Rays are really concerned, they may get an MRI to evaluate the grade a little bit better. But if the trainers feel pretty confident about it, they will rest him, use anti-inflammatories, ultrasound therapy, and even performance training to try to get him back as soon as possible. But my timeline is 4 to 6 weeks, and when he comes back, he should be fine.
You know, I feel like a hypocrite now. Because I said we weren't going to talk hamstring injuries anymore.
I was going to say, man, what happened?
Yeah, that was exactly the injury he's out with now. So I apologize for that. The doctors made me look foolish once again.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on quickly. Let's forget this segment.
All right.
Potential production possibly coming to a mound sometime soon. 3 guys: Dylan Overton, lefty for the A's; Jake Thompson, righty for the Phils; and Brady Rogers, a righty for the Astros. Let me give you some stuff on these guys. Dylan Overton, he's now won 7 straight. Oh, by the way, these guys are all AAA. Dylan Overton's won 7 straight, has a 25 in the 3rd inning scoreless streak. And as I mentioned, the A's have room in the rotation, or at least appears to have room in the rotation. Jake Thompson was one of the big names in the Cole Hamels deal last year with Texas. 4 June starts. He's gone 3-0, 29 innings pitched, 14 Ks, a 0.93 ERA, and a 0.93 WHIP. So those are pretty astounding numbers, even though the Ks are kind of on the low side. And finally, Brady Rogers for the Astros, going back May and June now. He's 6-1 with 54 in the 3rd innings pitched, 60 Ks, a 2.15 ERA, and a 0.9 WHIP. So all 3 are on teams that could certainly use some help with the rotation. These are all 3 guys you should be keeping an eye on, keeping tabs on. They might be getting a spot start here. They might even be getting added to a rotation in the near future. Any of those 3 names ring a bell or get you excited?
Yeah, Overton, he's cool. I mean, the K rate's below 8, or what was it, even below 7? I forget what it was, somewhere in that range. I'm not too excited for this year for him. Whatever the ERA, even with this dominant performance you brought up, the ERA is still over 3, which is kind of like, how bad was this guy before this little streak he went on? The Ks are nothing crazy. Plays for Oakland, no offense, no run support. What's really the best case scenario for a guy like that? I kind of into the Thompson was a pretty cool prospect, and he's a guy I definitely like to stick in that Phillies rotation there. So if he gets in there, he's quite intriguing to me. I like him a little more.
I was laughing at what you said about how bad could he have been before this recent hot streak. So mention the Village. What did you call it? The Phillies rotation, whatever you mentioned. Velasquez is rehabbing again, so he could be back sooner than later, which probably spells doom for Zach Eflin. And Jake Thompson, maybe the next guy to get a spot start for Philly. So keep an eye on him. There are a bunch of guys, as I mentioned in the beginning, on their way back from the DL, including Yasiel Puig, Raisel Iglesias, Travis d'Arnaud, Adam Ottavino's almost back. Josh Reddick is rehabbing. And Colton Wong has returned, this time as an outfielder. So of the names mentioned, anyone in particular that you are going after? We mentioned Wilson Contreras before. Look, if you need some catching help, as I mentioned, d'Arnaud is now back off the DL. So anybody in particular that is coming back this week that you are excited about?
Not really. Those are pretty underwhelming names. There's nobody I'm really excited about there. I'm an Ottavino fan. I like his game. Like him in the bullpen. But what does it do fantasy-wise for me? Nothing. Do any of these guys help me fantasy-wise? No. Do I care? No. Do I know? Are any of these guys on my roster? No. But should they be on your rosters? Maybe not. I don't know. I mean, how deep is your league? How deep is it? I mean, I need to know.
All right. Guess what? We accomplished a major feat. We just went over 34 players in less than 34 minutes. So that's almost like a documentary on ESPN kind of stuff.
I don't like it, man. I say we expand the show to 3 hours long daily.
Maybe next week. Okay. Anything you want to add? Anything you think people should know before we?
People should know that this is our most viewed episode ever.
We hope.
I've been told that it's going to be.
Okay.
I believe that wholeheartedly, and we're just gonna go from there, man. I'm ready. Thanks for having me as usual.
Well,
I can't wait till next week. That was too short of a time period. I need at least an hour and a half.
All right. Well, we'll get back to the extent. We'll see how this one goes. As I mentioned, we want to thank everybody that has been, a friend of the show, helping out with spreading the word. Leave your comments. Please subscribe to Nickel Press TV on YouTube. Leave your comments, like the videos, follow the channel, follow us on Twitter. Ask your questions. We will specifically answer any player you want mentioned and discussed. That's going to do it for us this week. This was episode 13, Roto RX. Hope to see you back next week, and bring a friend. Take it easy.